Welcome to a new episode of the 90s Metal Gamer, where we stay hydrated and play video games. The truth is, I've abandoned this channel. I have abandoned it. Not because I wanted to, but because I needed to, and I'll explain. Before I go on any further, I want to preface everything that I say with this. I'm not saying this because this is some massive YouTube channel with a mass following and whatnot. I say this more or less for myself because when I first started this channel, I said this channel wasn't going anywhere. And for a brief moment, almost a year now, I did. I let it go. But because of life and because of work. Same reason as the other times I took a brief hiatus. But this one was a little bit different. I started to be an adult. And I needed to put my priorities in order. YouTube was not one of them. Because it wasn't making me any money. And essentially it would just take time away from my things that I wanted to do. Things that are actually fun. Like going outside. Going on date nights with my girlfriend. And just overall having fun. But instead, what I was doing was sitting behind a computer, editing videos and playing video games, which ultimately amounted to nothing. Well, I wouldn't exactly say nothing, but other things took a priority over that. I started going to the gym more. I started doing more cardio. I started actually paying attention to my health and putting that above a lot of things that were not contributing to my overall well-being. I ended up having to get surgery on my left heel to remove a heel spur, which had been bothering me for several years already, but I finally decided to do something about it because the pain would be off and on, but this time it was on and it wasn't going away. As of recording this video, it has been approximately 4 days since my surgery. My doctor says that I can bear full weight on it, but I'm not taking any chances and I'm taking it easy over the next few weeks. I got crutches. Aside from my foot surgery, life is good. I cannot complain whatsoever. I've even enrolled in a summer college course. I've decided to change routes with my degree and decided to go into criminal justice. For those that have been following this channel for a while already, you already know that I am active duty military and I'll be retiring soon. When I say soon, I mean approximately 5 years. And that time is going to fly by fast. And because I'm retiring soon, I need something to fall back on once I am a civilian again. Which is why I decided to pursue a degree in criminal justice. If not criminal justice, then maybe a high school JROTC instructor. I can see myself doing that. Now that I've addressed the elephant in the room, let's talk about this video. This video is going to be a casual review of Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for the Sega Genesis. If you scroll back far enough on my videos, you'll see that I've actually done this game before. But I wasn't happy with the product. It was my very first review video that I've ever made, and now you can say this is my start to my New Game Plus series. I'm going to review every single game that I have reviewed again, but this time differently. Because before it was very scripted, I didn't like how it came out, it wasn't very casual. Now this time, it's going to be a casual review with every game that I've completed so far. Over the course of this review video, we're going to go over the story, the gameplay, the presentation, and the music, and then we'll wrap it up with a water score. You know how we do it here. I can say with 100% transparency and honesty that it feels good to be back. It feels good to finally be back in the editor's chair making these videos because I love it. I really do enjoy making these videos. It starts out very slow, but once I get my rhythm going, then it's fun. The goal of this channel is to review video games without all the extra fluff. What I mean is, I don't complete the games to 100% completion. That's not my style. My focus is solely on the main story. Now, if I happen to accomplish some other side quests, then cool. Yeah, I'm all for it. But I'm not about to do 100% completion on every single game that I have. I'm not the completionist. Let's go ahead and get into this review, shall we? Gotta go fast.
And then the Lord said,
I want to see your tiny head.
Usually around this time in the video, I go over the lore of the video game or the story of the main character, whatever the case may be, or I give some kind of historic piece about the franchise. I'm not doing that this time, mainly because we all should know the story of Sonic by now, and the 7 Chaos Emeralds and Dr. Robotnik, blah blah blah, all that stuff. If you don't, then you've probably been living under a rock, or you just don't have access to internet. And if you don't, you probably wouldn't be watching this video in the first place. Instead of telling you the backstory and the lore of the characters in the game, I'm here to tell you that I cheated when I played this game. Yes, I cheated. And I'll tell you what I cheated on. I have a RetroPie console that comes preloaded with about a million games. I don't know, I'm being exaggerating, but it comes with a lot of games that cover Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, PS1, all that stuff. And this RetroPie comes preloaded with cheat codes. And as you can see on screen, I'm navigating my way through the UI to make my way to the cheat code section. And there, I'll be able to enable any kind of cheat code that I want, as long as it's in there. I also have the ability to add cheat codes in there, but I'm not about to do all that. That's too much work. For now, I'm just going to enable the cheat code that allows me to have 224 rings at any given moment. Whether I lose rings or gain rings, I will always have 224 rings. The best thing about this cheat code is that it carried over into the special stages and allowed me to get the 7 Chaos Emeralds with ease. It was super easy getting the 7 Chaos Emeralds with this. But there was a downfall to that. I got Supersonic way too early in the game, and of course, as we all know, Supersonic is just hard to control. Playing as Supersonic this early on in the game isn't necessarily a bad thing. The developers would not have put this in there if they didn't want to, or if they didn't think it was possible. But it's in there, and you can do it by the second stage. Keep in mind that some areas of the game will need to have precisive calculated jumps, and Supersonic does not allow for precisive calculated jumps. Now that I have admitted that I cheated on this game, let's talk about the story. The short version of the story is that Sonic and Tails must stop Dr. Robotnik from gaining all 7 Chaos Emeralds to power his space station known as the Death Egg. The long version of this comes from a fandom page that I found, and I'm going to read it to you. According to legend, an ancient civilization from West Side Island achieved prosperity using mysterious stones, whose misuse led to their downfall. These stones, believed to be the 7 Chaos Emeralds, are said to have been sealed by the gods within the island's depths. During his travels, Sonic the Hedgehog finds West Island while unknowingly being followed by Dr. Eggman. He meets a shy, two-tailed fox named Miles Tails Prower, who idolizes him and follows him around the island. Sonic and Tails resolve to stop Eggman after learning that the Doctor intends to find the Chaos Emeralds to power a space station known as the Death Egg. That sounds pretty cut and dry if you ask me. Here comes a bad guy, in this case Dr. Eggman, that has a plan to take over the world. And here comes the good guys, in this case it is Sonic and Tails, to stop the bad guy from taking over the world. Pretty simple. Let's go ahead and move into the next segment of this video, the gameplay. The gameplay itself was a little bit different for me. Better yet, the controls were a little bit different for me, simply because I was using my RetroPie console to play this instead of a traditional Genesis. One of the things that I really like about the RetroPie console is that it allows me to use pretty much any kind of controller that I want, with the exception of maybe just a handful. I know that I can't use my Nintendo Switch Pro controller and maybe my PS3 controller. I'm not entirely sure. I don't remember how it came out, but it is compatible with the PS4, PS5, and the Xbox One controller, and I think that's pretty cool. In this particular case, I did use my PS5 controller, and I was able to custom map the controls to fit my needs. And for simple platforming games such as Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the controls were pretty bare bones. But that is to be expected from a 90s game. Pretty bare bones, pretty minimum. Left and right to move left and right, up and down to move up and down. You had A, B, and C buttons to jump. In this case, since I was using my PlayStation 5 controller, I was using square, X, and circle. And I even had the added benefit of more comfort controls with my PS5 controller. Overall, I'd say the gameplay and the controls were a very solid experience combined together. Although I have to say that there was a little bit of input lag between my PS5 controller and my RetroPie, but I think it's because the cord I was using is 12 feet long to connect my controller to my RetroPie. So that probably was the case. If not, then I really don't know what it is. Overall, 10 out of 10. Personally, I feel like Sonic 2 uses the Genesis hardware in the best way in Chemical Plant Zone and in the special stages. Now the reason why I say this is because in Chemical Plant Zone there is a lot going on. You got a mixture of bright and dark colors blending in perfectly, and as well as the background. You see in the background there's like a city back there, and in the special stages it's just all around colorful and a pseudo 3D look to it. I think this is beautiful. Keep in mind, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was released on the Sega Genesis on November 24th, 1992. I was 5 years old when this game released, and if you were to ask 5-year-old me what I thought about this, I would tell you this is the best thing ever. It does not get any better than this. This is the most realistic game I've ever seen at the time. Fast forward to 2026, where almost every video game you see has a realistic look to it, and it's kind of gotten watered down a little bit if you ask me. With all the games that are releasing in the 2020s, it's safe to say that all of them look graphically similar. The only thing that can really set them apart from their peers is the storyline associated with those games. Or maybe storyline games just aren't your thing. Maybe you're an online player. Maybe you play Fortnite or Call of Duty or PUBG. Is that even a thing? I don't know anymore. If online play is your thing, more power to you. But for me, I like stories. An honorable mention for graphic superiority for Sonic 2 would be Oil Ocean Zone, and for the same reasons as Chemical Plant Zone. It just looks simply beautiful, it really does. I'm not trying to take anything away from this, but for some reason, I can't quite put my finger on it, it doesn't quite hit the mark that Chemical Plant Zone does. For some reason, I can't explain it, Chemical Plant Zone looks better than this. But just by a tad. If I had to give an award for best level design in Sonic 2, it would have to go to Wing Fortress Zone. I intentionally turned off all cheats for this level because Supersonic would not allow me to beat this level. It requires precise platforming, and I couldn't beat this level with Supersonic because Supersonic doesn't allow for precise and accurate platforming. The sections that you see me jumping across right on screen, I would not have been able to accomplish if I was Supersonic, so I intentionally downgraded. But at this point, I had already collected all 7 Chaos Emeralds, so all I needed to do was collect 50 rings and jump, and I would be Supersonic. But I had to do so in a very strategic way, otherwise I would die on this stage. Overall, I'd have to say the graphics and the presentation for Sonic the Hedgehog 2 still hold up in 2026. Now that might be a very controversial thing to say considering where we are graphically in 2026. But I also have a bias towards 90s games because that's what I grew up on, and I will always have a soft spot in my heart for 90s games. There are a number of reasons why I let that audio clip play for a little bit longer. One being because it is my favorite song in the entire game, and two, I really do believe it highlights the audio capabilities of Sonic 2 and the Sega Genesis hardware. It is amazing to say the least. You cannot sit there and tell me that this song does not want to make you get up and move or get up and do some kind of dance or something like that. I truly do believe that the developers of Sonic 2 were really aiming for that, no matter what stage you pick. But this one right here definitely is the get up and move music. I have some sort of PTSD when it comes to this song right here, only because this is Metropolis Zone. This is the zone where everything is trying to kill you. You don't think it is? But it actually is. Everything is trying to kill you. And I remember I had so much trouble trying to beat this stage, and when I finally got through Act 2, I realized there's three of these? So then my anger just got amplified, and nonetheless, it took me some time, but I finally beat it. Overall, I'd have to say that there was no bad music in Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Every stage was worth listening to. I just happened to pick out a few of my favorites. 10 out of 10. I am truly not the best person to review this game, simply because this is the game that got me into gaming in the first place. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 will always have a special place in my heart. I can't exactly pinpoint when I got my Sega Genesis, but it had to have been somewhere in the mid to early 90s. And I remember how it came bundled. The Sega Genesis console came with Sonic the Hedgehog 2 game. And for the longest time, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was the only game that I had. The next game that I remember getting was Street Fighter 2. The truth is, I will never not have fun playing this game because it reminds me of a simpler time in my life. Didn't have to worry about paying bills, didn't have to worry about paying groceries, medical bills, car payments, mortgages, insurance, none of that. None of that mattered. For me, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 will always have an unfair advantage when I'm comparing it against other 90s games. The only game that is superior to this one is Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles. For nostalgic purposes and nostalgic purposes only, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 will always sit high on my pedestal. After replaying this game time and time again, the outcome will always remain the same. I will give this game a water score of 5 out of 5 bottles of water. That's all the time we have for this video. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel and drop a like. I love y'all and stay hydrated.